Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we've got a living room makeover happening right now. And I started this back in the fall and long before I decided to start doing long form content again. So I have very little footage of what I've done so far. If you came here from my short form channel, I did post a video with kind of where we're at so far on the short form channel. So if you're interested in like shorter clips and shorter content, then head over down to my shorts channel. I will link to it down below, and it's also linked in my bio. But anyway, over there, and I will insert clips here so you could see kind of where we started and where we were at. So where we started was we are at a very basic builder grade home, very, very basic. And we moved into this house in 2017 at the height of the gray farmhouse craze. So everything is farmhousey, everything was gray, the floors are like a gray taupe, the furniture was gray, the cabinets are gray, the walls are agreeable gray from Sherwin-Williams, and we're sick of the gray, we're sick of the farmhouse, and I want to actually decorate the house in my personal style. So where we're at now is I've never really decorated. We've never really lived in a decorated home. Everything has just been kind of an amalgamation of like hand-me-down furniture or like old furniture that I got ages ago. The dogs have chewed it up. The cats have scratched it up. The kids have barfed all over it. It's just time to, we're all grows up now, right? So I want like a grown-up space, something that's pretty, something that fits my style, which is definitely traditional. I love the old classic, old world, like European aesthetic, especially French with a little sprinkle of Victorian. I like vintage pieces, antique pieces, ornate mirrors. I just like a collection of old and new. You know what I mean? Like I don't want the whole thing to be grandma from top to bottom, but I do want a lot of that old world charm and some character, you know? So what I've done so far is we've got the basic builder grade orange peel wall texture, and I wanted to put in some picture frame molding, and that's really hard to pull off when you've got that texture. So we skim coated the walls with joint compound. We skim coated it, just kind of spackled it on there with a textured roller, and kind of skimmed it down with like a really wide, what do you call those? Spackling knives. And then we let that dries quickly. And then we just kind of went over it lightly with sandpaper just to smooth out any bumps. And then we went over it with a couple coats of paint, and we used Swiss Coffee by BEHR, which is just the perfect white in my opinion. It is perfectly creamy. It is not too yellow. It is not too pink. It's not beigey. It's definitely white, but it's not super stark. It's got some warmth to it. So it really warmed up the space and canceled out that gray. Then I measured out some picture frame molding, and we went and got some base cap molding and put in some picture frame molding and a chair rail. And it looks really great. You could see it right here behind me. And I love how it turned out. However, I was looking at it and I'm like, I love it. However, I really want this, okay? This is like my dream home kind of aesthetic. This is my jam. I love that French romantic detail of the wall molding. And when you have that much texture and detail on the walls and in like architectural details like that, you can go a little bit more modern and simple with the furniture, which is kind of what I'm going for. I'm kind of trying to merge the new with the old, which is kind of the trend at the moment, but also just what I always kind of loved and always wanted to do. So today, oh, and another thing that I did is we had these curtain rods here. They were a really stark matte black, and we had these super white, like stark white curtains that were very sheer, and they were very cool, and it just made the room feel kind of cold. And they had this like silver threaded trellis pattern through them. It was very farmhouse, but they were very expensive and very nice curtains. They were custom curtains, but I'd like a change to warm up the space. So I went over the curtain rods here with Rub and Buff, and I mixed up antique gold and gold leaf because antique gold leans a little rosy. It's got a little bit of a pink undertone, and the gold leaf is a little more yellowy. So I just kind of mixed them, and I went over the curtain rods, and it's not perfect, you guys, but it just, that one little detail just adds so much more softness and warmth, you know? So that's what I've done so far. And today I want to go back and embellish this molding and add some more details and just make it a little bit more layered and romantic. And hopefully I have time to get at least this portion done today, maybe the others. But once I get started, it's easier to get going, you know? So I'm gonna get started here and then we will go from there. So another thing we did was we had this wall of black bookcases on the far wall behind where the camera is right now, behind you. And we moved all those downstairs to my husband's man cave. And we got these from IKEA. And I wanted something that's like a natural wood tone to warm up the space, but it's just not working. The color is just kind of clashing with the floors because the floors are like a taupey, grayish brown. There's some warmth in there in the floors, so I do want to bring in warmth in a natural wood, but not quite as yellowy, and we just need to go with something a little bit cooler and a little bit deeper, I think. So our plan is I wanted to go all the way up to the ceiling, so we need to do something about these, but today I'm not focusing on these. We're just going to focus on this little piece here. This I never got to, so I've done all the walls on this half of the room in the living room area except this one, so I'm going to just do the regular molding that I did everywhere else here, and then we'll go in and do the more detail-y bits. What is the saying? Measure twice and cut once. Here I'm taking my measurements and I'm measuring to the edge of where the curtains would fall. And my biggest regret probably is that I didn't hang the curtains wider, but it is what it is. So I took the measurements twice and make a note of it. And I also measured the space inside the picture frame molding that's already there. I'm going to put some boxes within the boxes. And I decided to use a miter box and a saw to cut the edges of these because last time I used miter shears, which are much easier to use, but I found that they don't make really accurate cuts. As you squeeze down on them, things just kind of get wonky and they end up not making great cuts, and the edges didn't join together well enough. So I thought that if I use a miter box and a saw, it's a little bit more work, but the edges would match a little bit better. And here I'm checking to see if they do, and they do. So it will be much cleaner. And here I'm using my laser level and a brad nailer to secure these to the wall. And I found that with just the brad nails and some paint and caulk, it stays on pretty well, and I don't need to use any adhesive or anything like that. And I picked these corner pieces because they were narrow enough to fit in the really narrow boxes. And a really good friend of mine insists that it's much easier to paint these before I put them up, so I did. Okay, so it was way harder to paint these first because unless you have like a little cup or a stand or something to put all these on while they're drying, they just kind of drip all over the mat underneath, and then you have to pick apart all the paint that dried up on the edges. So I'm just going to stick these on as is, and I'm going to paint over them once they're on the wall. All right, you guys, so I'm not happy with how this has turned out. I'm not loving the space that I put between the inner box and the outer box. I feel like I could have done with a little less space in between. And these corner pieces, the ends are they're too narrow. They're too narrow for the piece. So even if I tried to like blend it together with some spackling or something like that, it's just not gonna look right because the profile is too low and this end piece is too narrow. So I'm gonna have to undo the whole thing. I got different corner pieces that have a bit of a wider like corner tip end. So it'll line up better with the, what do you call these? Picture frame thingies. So I'm gonna have to remove all this, sand it down, repaint it, smooth it out, and then put the new corners up and make a smaller space in between the edge and the corner pieces. So that's where we're at. This piano is in the way, so this is going to be really awkward to get to. Ugh. One down. It's not too bad. And I actually forgot to caulk these pieces, and that turned out to be a good thing because I'm taking them down and it makes it a lot easier. And yes, in case you were wondering, I did notice that the end pieces were too narrow for the molding, but I really didn't want to have to order new pieces and I wanted to just get this done. So I thought that once I got them up and painted that it would kind of, I don't know, fade away and you wouldn't really notice, but it was just bugging me. So yeah. Does it look cool? I think it's pretty much as good as new. There's a little bit of like down at the bottom, but there's going to be a picture over this, so I'm not too concerned about it. And I couldn't find the battery to my husband's Dremel, but I wanted to drill a curve in the ends of these base cap molding thingies. So I used my manicure nail drill to do it, and it seemed to serve its purpose because it did drill a curve in it. All right, now the moment of truth. Let's see if this fits and if those curves helped it at all. Perfect. Perfect. And as I'm repainting all these new additions to the walls, I thought it might be a good time to plug my next episode of Basic to Bougie Living Room Part 2, where I will be focusing on the built-ins and creating a DIY Louis XV style fireplace surround. And here's a sneak peek of what's to come. We're not quite done yet, but it's going to be fabulous. And here are the walls complete, and I am pretty happy with how it turned out. And next I have to address my butterfly dress picture that's hanging over the piano. I found this stunning mirror on Facebook Marketplace for $100 and I negotiated down to $80, and I enlisted the help of my husband to remove the old frame off the picture, remove the glass in the mirror, and replace the picture in the new frame. Next up is the curtains, and nothing says Parisian parlor quite like natural linen curtains, and 2 Pages was generous enough to send me these curtains. 2 Pages is a custom curtain and window covering company, and their app made it really easy to measure them. They tell you how to measure, where to measure, and they account for any pleats you might get and whether or not you want them to puddle on the floor or just hit the floor or just above. And I went with the Jawara luxury linen cotton pleated curtains in the shade Ivory Beige. And I selected a French pleat. And you can also select what kind of liner you want and how opaque or how transparent you want the liner, including blackout curtains, and you have an option to get matching tie backs. Or if you want body memory shaping done on the curtains, they have lots of different patterns, styles, colors, and materials to choose from. And they also offer different kinds of window coverings like blinds, Roman shades, ruffle shades, tulip shades, and they have a selection of hardware to choose from. And they did provide all the materials that I would need to hang these, and it made it very easy. These little hangers here just slide in between the pleat pockets there, and it just makes it really easy to hang. And if you've ever ordered custom curtains before, they can be quite pricey, and these were reasonably priced. And the quality, I just can't get over how nice the quality is of these curtains. They're soft, they're luxurious, and they just really elevated the space. And the measurements were spot on perfect. I'm so happy with them. If you're interested in the curtains that I selected or any 2 Pages curtains, I will provide an affiliate link down below in the description. I do receive a small commission for qualifying purchases, but do appreciate anyone that is willing to support small creators. And if you enter the coupon code ShaunaWild at checkout, you will receive 22% off qualifying purchases. And this is a generous gift from 2 Pages to my followers, so thank you to 2 Pages. And I found these brass bird curtain holdbacks, and they're just an added detail. And of course, we brought up this French provincial dresser that I refinished, and a lot of you had commented that I didn't leave enough close-up details of the top and how it turned out. And here it is. I smoothed out a lot of that damage on the top. And my problem corner was just down here at the end, and it came out pretty even. It's still a little uneven, but there was a lot of variation in the wood to begin with, so I think it blends in okay. And then I installed a rechargeable picture light to hang over the picture and a few added details.